We've had two big surprises this year. The bronze pace, right from the first
Yeah.
Grand Prix, and Force India.
Yeah.
Pole all of a sudden, a podium finish. What do you think? How do you think they turned themselves around?
I think that the regulation change has made it possible for these teams to be closer to the front. Braun had a great deal of development time spent with the Honda money, so they were probably the best prepared team going into the calendar. Force India, with low downforce, with the Mercedes engine, have a very efficient car. So in Spa and in Monza, they had some great performance.
Do you think you need to have an Indian driver in Formula One to raise the profile of the sport?
Inevitably, if you have a local driver, it increases the profile. There's a couple of drivers that probably have the potential, and time will tell whether they get the opportunity.
Karun Chandok, he tested for Red Bull last year. Do you know him? Do you think that he has it in him to get there?
Yeah, I've met him and his father. I think he's a nice guy. I think he's very quick. Whether he has the talent to compete in Formula One, you don't know until they get there, but I think he deserves the opportunity.
India is set to host a Formula One Grand Prix in 2011. I don't know if it'll happen, but that's what we are set to do. And the sports minister recently commented saying that Formula One is not a sport, it's an expensive plaything for people with money. Do you share that opinion?
I think all sports, professional sports, cost a lot of money. Look at the Premier League and cricket, look at the football. Formula One costs a lot because of the technology of the cars. But it's also a proving ground for companies who are high technology, whether it be electronics, software, obviously manufacturers of engines. And there's a reason why it has such a global audience. If India wants to put itself on the world map through a sports event, there's only probably the Olympics, the World Cup, or a Formula One race that can deliver the same return.
Do you enjoy your new job as a commentator?
Yeah, it's different. As I was saying to you before we started the interview, I'm having to learn to keep my answers short, which is a bit of a challenge. But when you're doing live television, you don't have the capability of saying, stop, let's redo that. You have to keep going. So it's a little bit of adrenaline doing it. But it's strange asking the drivers questions.
Do you miss driving?
Yeah, I do, of course. I love driving. But you cannot keep going forever. And better to stop when you have a choice than to be pushed out the door.
You must have owned fabulous cars throughout your lifetime. Right now, at your garage in Monaco, what cars do you have?
Well, my favourite car is a 1971 280 SL Mercedes. It's the same age as me. It's a beautiful old convertible car. And I just love imagining the designers, before the time of computer-aided design. They were doing it on a drawing board, and I really appreciate that time. But of course, of the modern cars, I really like the Mercedes brand. I think the AMG has a good combination of sport and also comfort. So I don't really have a two-seater sports car because, I have a son. You need space to put the kids in the car.
So what car do you drive right now?
I have a big GL Jeep, smart car, an M-Class, the SL, and a couple of other cars. But I don't have anything really, really sporty.
The whole talk of Michael coming back and stepping into Massa's seat, were you looking forward to Michael coming back?
Yeah, I thought it would have been incredible to see how he would have performed. I think the reality is the Ferrari is not that competitive, and it would have been difficult for Michael to really make a big difference.
But would he have been on the pace?
Yeah, sure. You don't lose the speed.
But a lot of people say that fitness counts for a lot. And a Formula One driver leads a very regimented life. He hits the gym every day. After you retire, you obviously don't hit the gym every day.
No, of course. My fitness is not as good as it was when I raced. And it's not just about training. But when you're in the car, the internal G-forces strengthen your internal organs. And you can't replicate that in the gym. So I can still do weights or I can do cardio, but I can't replicate the forces internally.
Would you step into a race seat if Red Bull asked you tomorrow to step into a race seat in Brazil? Would you jump in?
Yeah, it would be tough in Brazil, but yeah, I would go back if the team needed me.
Do you think Michael racing bikes and falling off and all that, is that a bit silly?
For me, yes, because in a motorbike you can end up with a broken neck, paralysed, and in fact he did break his neck.
Yeah.
So having driven four wheels all his life to suddenly go into two wheels, which is much more dangerous, I find that difficult to understand.
DC the man, when you were driving a Formula One car, you had this whole image of a playboy, a flat in Monaco. Was that a cultivated image, or is that who you are?
I'm a country boy. I grew up in a village in Scotland. I went on this amazing journey around the world by Formula One. it opened doors and gave opportunities, and I tasted everything that life had to offer. But in the end, I have my family, I have my work, and I'm happy.
Wings for Life, that's something that not many people have heard about. You had it on your car at your final race. What is all that about?
Well, Wings for Life is a foundation which helps raise awareness and funding for research into spinal cord injuries. Now, you would think maybe that most spinal cord injuries happen in extreme sports, skiing or motorbikes or whatever, but actually most injuries happen domestically. People slipping in the bath, car crashes on the open road, and being paralysed, it completely turns your life upside down and those around you. There must be a way, with proper research, to find a cure for the spinal cord injury. And there's not a lot of funding for it from governments because it's not a sexy bill to support. But we're trying to raise awareness, trying to raise funding, and to help finance the research and ultimately to try and find a cure.
Thank you, David, and all the best with your efforts.
Thank you. Thanks very much.